What's up, everybody, and welcome to Tennessee Mountain Homestead. My name's Jason.
I'm Stefan.
I'm Jace.
And today we're back out in the shop to give the Monster Murray a brand new clutch system. Let's get it jacked up in the air, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you're new to the channel, last weekend we just swapped in this Briggs & Stratton Vanguard V-Twin 16 horsepower. If you want, go back and check that out because it was quite the process. As a matter of fact, there's a playlist on this channel from the day we got this mower up until now. Here we go. I'm going to explain what's going on with this clutch. Now, this is a very basic style of clutch system. It works great. It's been great for 45 years. I'm sure this thing cut hundreds of lawns. However, now that we are using this as an off-road tractor, we need a much more efficient and performance-oriented clutch system. As you can see here, we've got a single belt, and we've only got one clutch idler pulley. Not only that, but everything under here is just loose and flimsy. So the goal is to make this more like a wheel horse or the one that I just put in my Sears a few weeks back, where we're gonna have two fixed backside idler pulleys. We'll put one down here, one somewhere up here, and then we need the clutching mechanism to actually push the belt that way. You'll see more in a few minutes once we get started. But I'd also like to say, this belt system is completely stock. We haven't done a thing to it except for change the pulley sizes on the engine and transmission. On the front, we've got a 7-inch pulley. On the rear, we've got a 6. When it had the stock Briggs & Stratton flathead, the pulley was further forward and it was centered in the tractor frame. Last weekend, when we put this V-Twin in it, the motor, in order to fit under the hood, had to be shifted around, and now the drive pulley is in a different position. That doesn't make too much of a difference, except before, whatever belt size we had on it last time used to work good enough. This one doesn't work at all. It won't release all the way. When you push the clutch all the way in, the belt is slack, but it just keeps trying to turn the transmission. And if it's in first gear or even second, it just keeps pushing and pushing. You can hear it squealing and you can feel it lurching, and you can't shift. Whenever there's any pressure on the input pulley of the transmission, you just can't shift. You have to really jam the gears to get those keyways inside the gear selector in the transmission to move. It ain't good for the linkage, it ain't good for anything. That's why we're changing it out. And so we're gonna go ahead and strip everything out of here. I'm gonna start with a blank slate. I'm gonna try to keep the stock clutch because the axis shaft for the clutch, because I don't want to have to re-engineer the whole thing, and this is already in a good spot. Other than that, everything's coming out. Let's get started. I've got everything cleaned out from under the mower, and the first thing I'm going to do is locate my static idler pulleys. These are backside idlers, and what that is, typically it'll be a flat pulley, and what it's meant to do is ride on the backside of the belt. So I want one back here. I've got the transmission selector shaft in the furthest place it's going to be that way, so I can get this pretty close. It's also going to give me more transmission pulley wrap. So I want that one somewhere about there. I can't put it there yet because I've got a lever in the way, but I want the other one to be somewhere up here near the engine pulley. What that's going to do is give me this nice flat area in the middle to add my clutch pulley. This here is a V, and it's meant to ride with the V of the belt facing into the pulley. So you can see here, we're gonna have the belt fixed in this position down here. We're gonna have it fixed in a position similar to this up here. This one needs to constantly be pushing the belt outwards so it creates tension in between those two fixed pulleys. This one needs to move, obviously. So what we've got here is the stock clutch mechanism. This is the access shaft for it. The lever before was over here. We're gonna cut that off and grind it down so it doesn't have anything to do with it anymore, and we can fit something where it is now. We're gonna add one over here. It's gonna have a connecting rod that goes down, and we're gonna have to build this mechanism. It's gonna pivot and push this. It's gonna pull this away. So the connecting rod will go to that mechanism and pull it up when that's depressed forward. Essentially pulling this away and letting the belt go slack. So that's the plan. What I'm gonna do now, like I said, is get these fixed. It's gonna take a little while. We're gonna use 5/8 hardware to do it. Once those two are located and established, we'll do the movable one. I'm getting ready to mount my first idler pulley. I'm gonna put it back here by the transmission, right about like that. So I've gotta have the center of these pulleys on the same center line as the engine and transmission to keep the belt straight, or at least have the belt right in the center of this pulley. What I've got on this tractor, from the highest point of the frame, because there's a bunch of dimples in it, you gotta watch out for that kind of stuff. So if I measure off the highest point of the flat, I've got 2 inches to the center of that pulley. I've got 2 inches to the center of the transmission pulley. Now, what I've done is I've put a series of parts. So I've got the head of the bolt, I've got a shaft collar, and I've got a locking washer. And I've got the nut tightened down so the lock washer is flat. Now that lets it spin nice and free. It's clamping the inner race of the bearing so it can't move, and it's very stable on this bolt. I need to be able to fix this bolt to the tractor somehow. What I'm gonna do with this is just grind away some paint, clean the head of this bolt up, and I'm gonna weld it on there, nice and solid. So this combination of parts, the shaft collar and the lock washer, plus the head of the bolt on this dimpled part of the frame where I want to put it right here, gives me 2 inches from the highest part of the frame to the center of the pulley. Sometimes you just get lucky with that kind of stuff. Other times you have to use smaller items. You know, they've got machine bushings you can get off the shelf at Tractor Supply. That's where I get most of my stuff. They seem to be pretty good for that. Although last night I had to go to 3 different locations just to get the pulleys I wanted. So that's the plan. I'm gonna get this one located first. I've got the shifter mechanism as far over as it wants to be, so that way I know where the belt has to be. I can get it really close. And I'm going to weld this bolt right there. We're gonna clean it up and keep moving. All right, we got the old clutch axis out. Like I showed you before, this lever right here was factory, and I'm gonna have Stefan go ahead and cut that off and get rid of it, do whatever it takes to smooth it out. We're gonna make another one out of some thicker steel because it's gonna be over here more near this side of the tractor. And I'm gonna go over there in the meantime and mount a pulley about where this lever used to be. Come on, Stefan, do your worst. I've got the bottom idler all welded in. It's good to go. I've got this next one already fixed at 2 inches from the top of the bolt. And I've already figured out it's gonna live somewhere right up in here. Right about like that. This is not the final belt, it's just the one that I had in stock. And this is the V idler. It's gonna go somewhere here. There's gonna be more slack so that the belt can come up more like this and bow out. So I'm gonna get this one fixed in position. We're gonna weld this here. And then what we're gonna do is start to make the mechanism that this can pivot on. What's up, guys? Please excuse the noise because a bunch of storms are moving in and it's raining quite hard outside. However, we did get this pulley mounted. The belt that I was using to mock it up is 88 inches, but it's too small. So thankfully, my lovely and beautiful wife was in town and she picked up this for me while she was out. It's a 90-inch belt. Hopefully I got that right. So we're gonna slip this over all the pulleys and see if we have any slack for our clutch pulley. Here's what we've got so far, guys. The front idler, the back idler, now we've got the clutch idler. We need to figure out where under this frame it's going to be mounted. We also need to figure out a device that we're probably going to cut out ourselves that this can swivel on, and also how it's going to connect to the clutch pedal. So we're going to do some thinking, we're going to do some cutting, and once we figure some stuff out, we'll update you guys then. After a lot of figuring, ciphering, and drawing out 8-digit mathematical equations with squares and roots and decimal places, we finally got our clutch pivot located. Check this out. Also, if you notice, I went ahead and reused the stock clutch pivot because it's already made for us. If I tried to make my own, I would have had to come up with some sort of access point, and knowing me, I'd have tried to do a bearing or something. Anyway, this works just fine. It's been there for over 40 years. We're gonna go with it, but we do need to make some changes to it. As you can see, it works just great. It comes to a complete slack. We're we're gonna have to put a stop so it can't go too far this way, right? It's gonna have to stop somewhere here. I'll weld something to the frame or bolt something, maybe a little L bracket to stop it from going that way anymore. Here's the hard part. We need to be able to pull this thing up this way. It's gonna be under spring tension trying to go this way. So what we're gonna do, I've got some steel over there in a pile. I'll figure out which pieces I'm gonna use. We'll come off of here, weld it to this part of the clutch idler arm. It's gonna stick out. I'm gonna straddle this bolt so we can get to it. It's gonna stick out here, and then we'll put a piece of sheet metal over here on top of those arms that we weld on. The clutch is going to be pulling this up as it actuates. Essentially, it's gonna pull it up and it's gonna go like that. At the same time, it'll give us a place to mount our tension spring. So we'll have our nice little mounting plate. One half of it will be for the clutch linkage, and there'll be a portion of it that will accommodate our tension spring. So we're gonna go ahead and get that figured out and update you shortly. I've got my clutch arm extension welded on, and I even put a little support right here so that when the spring and the clutch linkage is on it, it's not just torquing it way out here in space, pulling on it here. It's supported here now, right by the pivot point. So what I got to do next is come in from this side. This is where my pivot goes. And I need to come through here with a drill, and I need to open up a space big enough to fit that pivot bolt through. What's up, guys? You just saw me getting ready to bend this, and I was gonna make a new 90-degree right here because the overall length of this linkage needs to be shorter now to work with the new clutch pivot position. Just before I was ready to heat it up and start hammering on it, I thought to myself, maybe there's a little bit better way. And sure enough, I dug through the parts tray, and I happen to have one of these here Heim joint ends left over. So this rod is 3/8. This is threaded 3/8 24. It is right-hand thread. I already ran a bolt into it that has that same thread pitch. And what I'm gonna do, I've already marked it. I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna run this die down it so I can have a Heim joint end. Now, this end is still gonna be metal on metal because I have this big adjustment, and I have this nice little clevis pin. I don't know what you would call that on there, but that's gonna stay how it is. And this side will have a nice smooth Heim joint so actuate the clutch better. It's update time, guys. We're getting close. Check this out. So here's my tension spring. I do need to get a stiffer one. I just don't have one in stock that length. Anyway, I just drilled a little hole for it in this extension of the clutch arm. I put a 3/8 eye bolt back here in the frame. The next thing I got to do is weld this lever I made to the clutch axis shaft. There's a machine bushing in between. We'll come in here and tack it. The next thing we'll do is drill in the heim joint, get that bolted down, and then we'll figure out how high off the deck this needs to drill through into this lever. Let me get this welded. We'll be back shortly. Check it out, guys. We've got this thing mostly back together and it works pretty good. So it's just chilling right now in its engaged state. I'm gonna push the clutch in. We've got total disengagement. Check out how much the belt comes off the front of the pulley. Up against this belt guide, we've got our belt guide back here. We've got a belt keep in the back. So we've also got the brake somewhat timed with this. You see it pulls the brake up right at the last second. But we don't know if we're gonna keep that. We might just make a separate brake, a whole different pedal just dedicated for that, because this has never worked that great. But we also need some other things. We need to go to the store. We need to test this tomorrow. And currently it's like 9 o'clock at night. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead, call it a night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow in the morning. It's the next day. We've got a few more things to finish up under here, and then we're gonna take it outside and test drive it. A couple things we're going to do before we're finished. I'm gonna add a 16-inch belt guide right here in this area. It's going to weld to this cross member, and that will give the belt something to rest on and keep it from going out this direction when it's slack. And currently, Stefan is working on adding a couple of belt keeps. He's gonna add one behind the transmission pulley, and we're going to add one up here in front of the drive pulley. Then I need to make a simple belt keep for the clutch idler, and one more right here, possibly one more right here. We don't want this belt going anywhere. So check it out and we'll see you in a minute. Moving right along, Stefan has installed 3 keeps. He put one here by this idler. He put one here. He put one down there by the trans idler, which you can't see right now. And then you saw me welding this guide to this cross member. The next thing I've got going on here is a piece of 1/8 inch bar that I've drilled a 5/8 hole in. What that's gonna do is be my clutch idler keeper. I'm gonna weld this piece of bar directly to that shaft collar. I'll make sure that I can always get to the set screw on the shaft collar. And what that's gonna let me do is clock this any which way I want. Stefan, if you will, come over here. Get ready to operate the clutch. So what I was thinking about, guys, it could be anywhere, right? It could be anywhere in this rotation. So if I have it down here more towards the 6:30 to 7 o'clock position, go ahead, Stefan, and push the clutch. It could be also a belt brake, because what it's doing, it's pushing the belt that way into this belt keep. So it's causing a Z shape, it's causing a lot of friction on the belt, and the belt is already slack at that point, and that would ensure that the belt comes to a complete stop. Just a thought, but we have options, because if it doesn't work out too well or we don't like it, we can just clock it over here and it won't do anything. It'll just keep the belt from coming off the pulley. So that's what I'm going to do next, is weld that shaft collar to this, and we're almost there, guys. This thing is a complete belt system now. The only thing left to do is test it out. There was one more keep I didn't mention before that we kind of forgot about. However, we needed one up here on the front side of the drive pulley, and we accomplished that fairly easy by taking a piece of 3/8 threaded rod, and I welded a 90-degree tab to it that I bent out of 1/8 inch by 1 inch flat bar. Now, there was already some holes in the frame for whatever implements or whatever used to be there. So all we did was take advantage of those holes, and Stefan, don't forget it's hot still, he's gonna do the honors, put it back, and show you how that works. Just like that, and as you can see, the tab is just in front of the pulley, because this belt gets pretty slack and it can come up and just fall off the front or the back. But now we have this whole entire thing 100% captive. So it's currently raining outside. It's gonna be raining on and off all day. We're gonna go ahead as soon as this is done and make sure we didn't forget anything else. And we're gonna blow it back apart, and we're gonna paint all the new pieces that we've made and touch up the frame where I ground it down to bare metal. We're gonna reassemble it, and hopefully when we're done doing that, the rain will be light enough that we can take this thing outside and try it out. We've got all the pieces that we just fabricated taken out, and we currently have them in the Tennessee Mountain Homestead Easy Bake Oven. Now, the parts are all good and hot. The next step is we're gonna send them off to paint. Paint? Are you ready, paint?
Yep.
Let's go. Remember, boys and girls, a little bit of flat black makes it all go away. The parts were hung in the oven with care in hopes that rust would not form on metal bare. In 5 minutes time, that paint will be dry. We'll put it back on the tractor and go for a ride. All right, guys, welcome back. As you can see, the parts are out of the oven. We have them here chilling on the desktop, and they are thoroughly painted flat black. And currently, Stefan is reassembling the parts underneath the tractor. We'll be back shortly with more updates. We're about 50% put back together. As you can see, everything under here is nice and clean. And we've got Crusher with Lucille. And then we got Jace. They haven't been feeling too well today, so they were inside chilling, watching TV.
Sick.
You're sick?
Yep.
They're feeling better now, but it's been raining all day long. What's next, Stefan?
This top belt keep and then the clutch
All right.
axis.
All right, see you guys in a minute. Everything's put back together. The clutch is working like it should. I've even got the brake integrated into it, and I sat here for a while, and I got it timed to where it comes in right at the last bit of the clutch travel. But I don't know if the brake is going to be permanently like that. Like I said earlier, I think we're going to do something standalone for the brake, because it's either all or nothing with these, especially how it's set up here. So I'm not too worried about that. The main focus of this was the clutch, and I think we nailed it. So what we're gonna do is put this thing back down on 4 wheels. We're gonna put the gas tank back in and get the hood back on, all that good stuff. The rain just slowed down out there. I think we're done for the day with rain, and we're gonna fire it up and see how if it works or not, right? More in a minute. What's up, guys? It's been a couple hours since the last time we shot a clip, but this thing runs and drives. We took it outside and we tested it, and I'm gonna take it out right now and show you guys again, but we had to work a couple little kinks out of it. No big deal. It comes down to the belt is brand new and the front pulley was brand new. So we were getting a lot of chatter letting the clutch out, but it just took a bunch of driving around, and it's totally normal. So we'll show you guys that in a minute. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, Jace and Colt both have fevers and they don't feel too good right now. It just got done raining. It's been raining all day. The creek is high. It's all muddy out there and wet. So Jace is not going to be out here today to drive this. We're going to have to do that tomorrow morning. When he gets up, hopefully he feels better. But right now, I'm going to take this thing out. It's just Stefan and I, because actually Ethan doesn't feel good either. So Stefan and I, Stefan's my cameraman right now. I'm gonna take this thing out, I'm gonna put a helmet on, we're gonna get a GPS reading and just demonstrate how the clutch works. Let's go. right, guys, bring it on in. It's loud out here with the water and stuff running, but I went 0.8 miles and I hit a top speed of 22.5 miles per hour. I don't know if you can see that right there. But this thing has some pretty good acceleration. Like when you bump it into 6th and then hit the throttle, it takes off. Like I feel it pushing me in the seat. So that V-twin, it sounds and it runs great, super smooth. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear me yelling through my helmet, but I don't need to wear that for the next thing. But I think I already demonstrated I can come to a complete stop. I can shift on the fly, because if I hit the clutch all the way in, I can shift. Before, you couldn't do it. You couldn't even hardly get it out of gear at a complete stop with the clutch all the way in, because it just kept trying to turn the transmission. But now the belt comes to a complete stop. We laid on the ground underneath it and watched it come to a complete stop. It just takes a couple seconds once you hit it all the way in. So I can shift on the fly, and it's 100%. So I'm gonna call it good. It's starting to get a little bit dusk out here. It's like 7:30. We're gonna let Jace drive this thing tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully he feels better. And that's gonna be all night for us, but it's gonna be in a split second for you guys. See you tomorrow. What's up, everybody? It's the next day, and unfortunately, we are not going to be shooting any more footage for this video. Jace took a rain check. I just asked him if he wanted to drive his tractor. He said no, because he absolutely does not feel good. Everybody, all the little boys and Ethan, who's behind the camera right now, everybody had a fever yesterday, and still some of them do this morning, including myself. I woke up in the middle of the night, I didn't feel well, and I took some ibuprofen and had a little bit of an allergic reaction. I'm wearing these glasses, well, first and foremost because they are cool, but second, because my left eye is a little bit swollen. It ain't too bad, but I just figured I'd do this. So the tractor's complete, it runs fantastic. In the future, we're gonna address the brake pedal. We're gonna do a standalone brake and a gas pedal. And I think that's gonna conclude the Monster Murray for now. And moving forward, I know everybody wants to see me get back to work on the Sears. And that's absolutely going to happen. I believe if everything goes right next weekend, I'll be back on that thing. What I have planned for next weekend is the rear fenders and try to slam the seat back down. It's not the most important thing, but everything toward getting that thing complete is important, equally important. So with that being said, if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I love to say this, but when you guys comment, that's my favorite. And I try to answer every comment to the best of my ability. So please drop a comment. As always, I'm Jason. You're watching Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and we'll see you on the next one.